Welcome back to another episode of Y2K Sports Talk. Today we are going to be going over the eventful day of the trade deadline that literally just ended a few hours ago, as well as always, our big winners and big losers of Week 9, and then for the Thursday night prediction. So let's get started.
So to really jump in of what happened today, we could talk about probably the biggest things that happened with Sauce Gardner getting traded for 2 first-round pick and Adonai Mitchell. Nobody expected that. There was no rumors of that. There were slight rumors that the Colts wanted to, trade for a corner, but no way did anybody expect it to be the caliber of Sauce Gardner. Like
For
it's just
sure.
that first off, the Colts are already, number one in the AFC right now still, even with their loss to the Steelers. They've looked good all year. Besides, their only 2 losses have been because of, I feel, their own mistakes of turnovers and stuff. And sometimes the defensive unit would kind of start slouching when it came to the DB room outside of like Kenny Moore. And now when you add Sauce Gardner, that's gonna boost everybody. You get arguably the best corner in the NFL. You're adding that to an already top tier NFL team, and that just boosts them immediately to potential Super Bowl favorites. Like you got people getting hot, whether it's the Chiefs, the Bills, but now you're completely built to beat these teams in the playoffs. And if you keep at it, you're gonna have home field advantage in the entire playoffs until the Super Bowl. So it's insane. And I mean, like I said, nobody could have expected it. Everybody, including ourselves, was shocked. And obviously, usually this doesn't happen to a young, very talented corner. Who did he get paid yet?
I don't even know. I'm still.
I mean, if he did or if he didn't, either way,
Yeah.
either he's gonna get paid or he either got paid because he deserves it for how good he's been. So, I mean, is there anything you want to touch on?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, that's definitely, like you had said, that's something I was not expecting to hear when I woke up this morning. The 5 billion times I was waking up and seeing all these different, news and all these different trades going on. I mean, I out of all the people that was getting thrown around, Sauce Gardner was not being thrown around to be a trade. It was at least of what I've seen, and probably a majority of what other people have seen as well. No one thought he was getting moved at all. And I mean, now he's going to the Colts. And I was just saying a little bit ago before we started, it was like that. This was like their main problem was corner. Because I mean, clearly look at their offense. Their offense is covered in every single way. The defense was the only question mark. Even then, they still had a 7-2 record. And now they literally not only did they just get, a decent or pretty good corner to help fix the corner problem, they got, in my opinion, the best corner in the game. So, I mean, not only did they fix their problem, but they fixed it huge. They made a huge splash. Little bit ago, the Jets GM said, it was too good of a trade to pass up. So clearly looks like the Jets are, they're moving forward in their own way. It looks like they're happy with their trade. Couple other, Jets players moving around today. But I mean, they gave up 2 firsts, Adonai Mitchell. So Jets now have like a main receiver for them. But I mean, the Colts, like you said, probably going to be Super Bowl contenders now. They have the star power for sure. No more debating, about the Colts and can they beat the Chiefs and the Bills and the main AFC teams. It's like this team has everything right now that they can beat these teams. It's not even really a debate if they can. It's like they definitely can beat these teams now.
Yep.
I already was debating that anyway, but with getting the best cornerback in the game, I mean, probably around next week or here pretty soon, we're going to be making our own playoff brackets in honor of it being mid-season right now. But I mean, I was kind of saying I think the Colts are one of those teams that could be a first round exit based on, not really a whole lot of their players have playoff experience. But I mean, their roster is just so stacked that I don't even think it matters. And I mean, who knows what I'll put down, but I think I have them. I for sure have them going to the Super Bowl, most definitely. But winning it is probably has the highest possibility out of any other team, in my opinion, right now. So
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said, and another All Pro on the Jets, Quinnen Williams, goes to the Cowboys. I mean, to a team that already has Kenny Clark and Osa, who at times are kind of up and down. Whether you can blame that on the talent around them, the defensive coordinator, but the run defense was very shaky. It was very inconsistent, and when it was bad, it was horrible. The other day against the Cardinals, they looked pretty good against the run. They looked good enough. Ezra Rocket was coming into his own. Clowney looks like he's getting more comfortable, and so the D line specifically looked a little bit better than what they've have all season easily. The linebackers, and the DBs, they're not doing anything, but getting Quinnen Williams doesn't only just get you, one of, if not the best run stopper, he also has a pass rush ability. And getting people like Kenny Clark, Osa, and now Quinnen Williams to come rush you in the middle, that forces you to go out of the pocket to run and make a different type of play. It helps the corners out. It helps everybody out. And with the Cowboys getting, Overshown back, which is going to be huge, they also added Logan Wilson from the Bengals. You get a linebacker who maybe hasn't played the best over at the Bengals, but it's an upgrade immediately over from what the Dallas Cowboys have. They also don't know what Overshown's going to look like coming back from injury. Hopefully, they're good on that. So now you get a linebacker, you add an all pro top three, at least D tackle in the NFL. It's going to help the defense. Even if it's just a little bit, it will help them. And now it's just, with the Jets just stacking up these first round picks, two and, this year, you have three next year. For their future, it could be bright if you draft well. They're going to need a quarterback. They're going to need more defensive players now. They're going to need so many different things. Brees Hall might get traded in the offseason as he was close to getting traded today.
And the picks you could get for
Yep,
Brees Hall on top of the
exactly.
picks they
He
got
wants
today.
out. Jermaine Johnson could even get, traded still. You never know what's going to happen, but their future is bright, but it's going to sting for a little bit, letting people like Williams and Gardner go who were your defense. When you think of the Jets defense, you think of those two specifically. So, I mean, what do you think of
Yeah,
Quentin
so
Williams?
I mean, that's literally the perfect trade for Dallas. I mean, because overall, when you're looking at what the Cowboys got rid of, and what all kind of started this was the Micah Parsons trade, obviously, and what was it? It was Cowboys getting rid of Parsons, Mozzie Smith, and a second round pick, and they end up getting Kenny Clark, Quinnen Williams out of it today, and what else did they get?
I mean, they're still keeping on to they're still keeping on to
Yeah, they
both their first round
yeah
picks
they
from the
keep they
Packers.
keep their two first round picks for 2026. They still have their first rounder from 2027. Cowboys clearly, I Cowboys definitely played the situation well after getting rid of Parsons, and then because Mozzie Smith wasn't too much of a help for the Cowboys defense, so I could really kind of just forget about him and really only just say Parsons pretty much. But Cowboys played the trade well. I feel like both teams won the trade. The Packers and the Cowboys both won the trade. Definitely now
Yeah.
getting Quinnen Williams, but I mean it was fun and it was kind of crazy seeing the build up to it because right before the Monday night game you had Jerry being like, oh yeah, I might make a move, I probably will, but you'll never know, and then kind of leaves everyone on a cliffhanger. Is We never know what to believe with Jerry, as he's like literally proven with the Parsons trade on you can't really believe him.
Yep.
But it was super intense, but they got their guy, and I feel like that just boosts everyone's confidence up. And then for Logan Wilson's sake, obviously he struggled on the Bengals earlier this year, but maybe it's just a change of scenery he needs. I'm sure he's probably happier with the Cowboys because overall, I mean, look at their offense too. Cowboys offense is running circles around the Bengals. I'm sure he's much happier to be on a Cowboys team than the Bengals, even though both defenses are clearly struggling. Like I said, it's a new environment, and then clearly, obviously, getting Quinnen Williams as well. I'm sure everyone's just ecstatic about it, and it'll just boost the whole morale for the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, and then moving on to the receivers that were moved on today. You have Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks, which is huge. Now you have a field stretcher with JSN, and that's just going to help Sam Darnold, who's already looked really good, specifically last game. The Jacoby Myers went to the Jaguars, which it was obviously he was going to leave somewhere, but I didn't really ever hear rumors that the Jaguars were even really interested in looking into anything like that. But both teams are going to thrive from having these two additions at the receiver position, and it's going to help both quarterbacks. And for both teams, specifically the Jaguars, in their division, it's getting a little hectic. Culture great. Texans are still good because their defense is really good. But and the Jaguars are sitting just at like I think 5-3. But now you add yourself another receiver who's proven and very
Yeah.
consistent. It's going to help everybody. So and with both of those trades, it's right now it's not really getting talked about too much, but I think it's going to really help them in the end and specifically in a playoff push.
Yeah, for Jacoby Myers' trade, I mean, that was inevitable. I was waiting for that to happen. I was actually expecting that to happen a couple weeks ago, but here it was on the day of the trade deadline. I mean, I don't have too much to say about it, but it is a huge pickup for the Jaguars considering they are having they are above 500. Obviously, they've been struggling as of late a little bit, but I mean, with Travis Hunter out for I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but with the injury to Travis Hunter, getting a receiver is nice. Once again, keep the confidence up. You immediately have your replacement. Like you said, he's a proven receiver. So, that's huge for the Jags. He's going to have Trevor Lawrence throw into him instead of Geno Smith. So that's another thing. And then for the Rashid Shaheed thing, which I'm super excited about, I mean, I feel he's going to fit well in Seattle. I mean, you see how JSN is playing, and I mean, Cooper Kupp has been underwhelming for Seattle. I mean, right now he's injured. It looks like he was only going to miss that Commanders game, but who really knows as he's an older receiver who has had some injury problems over the last few years. So who really knows what's going to happen with him? But I mean, the Seahawks offense for receivers was just JSN. I mean, you could throw in, AJ Barner in there as a tight end, but I mean, other than that, it was just JSN that was being able to get open. Like I said, Cooper Kupp was underwhelming. I mean, Torrey Horton's a great receiver, but he's a rookie, so you don't want it just to be JSN and Torrey Horton. So getting someone who has already been in the league for like 4 or 5 years now at this point, someone who's like a veteran, isn't really new to the league, but knows his way around. But I mean, it's perfect for Sam Darnold because I mean, you have teams sometimes double teaming and maybe even triple teaming JSN. So you can't be doing that. You can't be double teaming JSN or triple teaming him when you have Rashid Shaheed who can run a 4.3 and is one of the fastest receivers out there when you have him open downfield. Like you can't be double teaming everyone. So it just gives the Seahawks another threat. It, takes the load off of JSN. I mean, JSN is still going to be JSN. I totally obviously believe that. But I mean, it gives the Seahawks another option downfield. So that's huge for them.
Yeah, and just kind of bring up some other ones. I mean, Jalen Phillips was earlier. It wasn't today, but Jalen Phillips to the Eagles is huge. They needed an edge rusher, and they got a really good one. Though there is injury concerns, throughout his career, if you can get him healthy, it's going to be a huge boost to this defense. Giving up a third, especially if you're the Eagles, it's probably going to be a late third anyway, so it's a good value for both sides. Dolphins get a third. Eagles get rid of a third who might not be too important to them anyway. Specifically, if you look at it, you probably won't find an edge rusher same caliber of Jalen Phillips in the third round. So there's that one. Some other ones I can just name off here was Draymond Jones went to the Ravens. He'll be a good piece. Nothing crazy like the other ones we've talked about, but he will be better. Um, you got Joe Tryon to the Bears, and they needed edge help, so anything's gonna help them. He isn't terrible, he isn't bad, he isn't gonna make like game changing plays or anything, but he could help the team win. And Trevor Penning went to the Chargers, who he has been underwhelming since he's been drafted, but new scenery. Chargers needed O line really badly. Penning has played interior and exterior. He's done everything. He hasn't been, 100% consistent, but like I've said, a new scenery can really change somebody completely. So hopefully it works out for them as they're also trying to look for a playoff push. The Chargers also traded a corner, uh, Jasir to the Jets. I mean, so the Jets at least got somebody today, which
Right.
it's probably gonna go everybody, over everybody's head through who they traded. So, but I mean, that kind of sums up today. It was a very eventful, crazy, shocking day for everybody. And I mean, this is only the start of it because who knows what's going to look like for other players in the offseason who were, close or at least supposed to be getting traded today. That's, somewhere in the future. We'll see what happens there. But there's a lot of teams who got better today.
All right, so for my big winners, I have the Ravens. I mean them beating the Dolphins 28-6. I had them winning 28-21. I had them being a close game, but I mean, I feel like we all knew. I mean, I knew deep down, even though I said 28-21, we all pretty much knew, comparing a healthy Ravens team now, or at least for the majority healthy, and based on how the Dolphins have been playing this year, that the game wasn't necessarily going to be that close. I mean, like I said, they won by 22, so but that's huge for the Ravens. I mean, Lamar Jackson comes back from his first game from injury. I know it's the Dolphins, but I mean, 18 for 23, 204 yards, four touchdowns, zero interceptions. Like I said, I expected him to look like the great old Lamar from pre-injury, and he comes back and shows that very first game. Derrick Henry went. He had 119 yards on 19 carries. Mark Andrews had a couple touchdowns, which is huge for him because obviously he's kind of fallen off a little bit, but huge game for him. I'm still not obviously going to rule out a comeback from the Ravens when it comes to their division against uh, Pittsburgh. Their comeback could still very well happen. I know Pittsburgh obviously had a huge win, which I'm going to touch on here in a minute. But overall, I mean, overall the Ravens winning the game is huge. Even though the Steelers ended up winning, the Ravens are still in it, in my opinion. I mean, we're only halfway through the season, and the records are 3-5, and then Pittsburgh's 5-3. So their comeback, I still believe in their comeback. I guess I'm like obsessed with it, but honestly, I just feel like no one's talking about it. So I'm like here to always bring that up. But I mean, even if the Steelers do run away with the division, which obviously they're on pace to, then this is obviously a huge win for the Ravens anyway. Obviously, a win's a win. But I mean, if they're not going to win the division, this is actually huge in their wild card race because you got the Jags at 5-3 right now, and who've been shaky the last few weeks, and then the Steelers are always shaky for their division lately. And then you got the Chiefs on the outside looking in right now, which no one could have expected that halfway through the year. So I mean, with all those, with the AFC being super weird right now, I mean, it's huge for the Ravens to get a win, get their momentum back with Lamar back. So, um, next up, I have is the Steelers. I mean, obvious biggest win of the week. I never expected them to win. Obviously, I had the Colts. Um, but I mean, yeah, the Steelers they dropped the last 2 weeks. I think I had them as like a big loser last week, um, based on how the Ravens were up and coming. Here they are winning two in a row, and then Steelers have lost two in a row, and this is a huge win, and this will help their momentum and their confidence as always. Um, but yeah, like I said, they got to keep the gas pedal down in their division. But either way, it was a huge statement win. I mean, I'm definitely not even worried about the Colts. I mean, forget about the Sauce Gardner trade. I mean, I'm still wasn't even worried about them anyway before I knew about that trade. But um, for the Colts' sake, this is like actually their first loss that they actually just like purely got outplayed by, in my opinion, because their loss against the Rams was due to some offensive mistakes. This was like just purely the Steelers just beat them up this game, and some of the stats here. Daniel Jones had 350 yards, but he had three interceptions and two fumbles. He even had a third fumble, but they were actually recovered that one. And then Josh Downs fumbled on a punt return as well. So overall, they had six total turnovers. So the pressure was there by Pittsburgh, obviously. TJ Watt had a sack, forced fumble recovery. Pittsburgh overall had 5 sacks that game. Jonathan Taylor didn't even get 50 yards. He didn't even score a touchdown like we've been used to seeing every single week. So obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers just overwhelmed them. Huge win. Like I said, I'm not even close to being worried about the Colts, but they definitely just got outplayed that game. And it's still crazy on the Colts side because they had 6 turnovers and still only lost by 7 on the road. So I mean, kind of props to
Yeah.
them to having all those mistakes, but still staying in the game as close as they were. So
Yeah.
next up, big winner Panthers. I mean, where did the Panthers come from? I feel
Yeah,
like I
for
haven't
sure.
really talked about them really at all this year. If anything, they've been on like my big loser list if I have talked about them this year. But I mean, here they are. They're above 500 halfway through the season. I mean, obviously comparing to how they were last year, this season's already like a win for them already. I mean, look at the
Oh, for
pace that they're
sure.
on.
Yep.
So, I mean, huge for the Panthers. Um, it was still an ugly game in the way of the Packers did beat the Panthers in total yards, and the Packers didn't even punt either. Um, but hey, the scoreboard said 16-13. The Panthers got the win. That's all that matters, and it doesn't matter what time of year it doesn't matter what time of the year it is when you're playing in Lambeau, whether it's cold or super cold. It don't matter, especially with those fans anyway. Getting a win in Lambeau
Yeah.
is special. It's huge. It's a hard place to win at. So huge props to them. But I mean, I expected the Panthers to only make a little jump. I mean, would they have like the 7th pick last year or so, something like that? And I expected them to maybe make a little jump and maybe get like the 10th or 14th pick. But I mean, they're knocking on the door right now in the playoffs. I mean, that's it's crazy to believe. And I, was sleeping on them because, like I said, here they are, coming out of the middle of nowhere to me. Um, but it's a huge win because they only have the Bears in front of them when it comes to teams on the outside looking in. Um, but yeah, it's a huge jump. I just hope for Bryce Young and the Panthers' sake. I just feel like, if Bryce Young can step it up, then I mean, man, because I mean they're already like fighting for a playoff spot right now. So I mean, imagine if Bryce Young's actually clicking. Bryce Young hasn't had a very good season. He hasn't
Yeah.
really ever had a good season so far, unfortunately. But I mean, if they can still put 5 wins up on the board, up on their schedule so far, and that's with their quarterback not playing well, just imagine when Bryce Young starts to click, which I have hope that he does. Then I mean, look at the Panthers. Then they could have 6 wins right now. They could have even 7 wins and be in the conversations with the Colts, Broncos, and Patriots, and so on.
Yeah, for sure.
So and then for the Packers, really quick, I don't have them as like a loser or anything, but their offense is inconsistent. I know, they still have their good record, but it kind of hurts to watch looking at all their players, and they always are having these slow starts or whatever else it may be. I mean, they only put up 13 points against the Panthers at home. Overall, it hurts. I feel like they're not getting used to their full potential. They're so inconsistent.
It was like the same thing. They lost like the same way they did against the Browns.
Exactly. Yep, that Browns game. Exactly.
Field goal and everything.
Field goal too. Yep. And they were my pick to win this to go to the Super Bowl. The Packers were
Hmm.
especially like after the Parsons trade, but before the season started. I did have the Packers going to the Super Bowl. But I mean, if their offense, I mean, like I said, the record's still good and they're the leader in their division and you got the Lions fumbling here and there. But I mean, they can't afford that. They can't afford a slow offensive start in the playoffs. So overall, I think the Packers need to clean it up. Like I said, with their roster, I feel like they should be playing better, even though they have their great record right now. But I mean, they did lose to the Browns. They did lose to the Panthers. They're losing to these lower ish end teams. Obviously, the Panthers now above 500, but that was a game the Packers still should have won. Um, Next up, I have big winner Bills. Obviously, a huge win against the Chiefs again, always beating the Chiefs. They won 28-21. They're now 6-2 on the year. Josh Allen had a near perfect game. 23 for 26, 273, 1 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Didn't even commit a turnover. And then, Maxwell Harrison, I've been really excited for him. I've been eagerly waiting for him to finally start and play a game. I don't know. I'm just so attached to the player. You know, I mean, look at it. Look at his 40-yard dash too. I mean,
Yeah.
clearly he has all this talent and stuff. But it was cool seeing Harrison also pick off Mahomes late in the game as well. So huge props to him because I'm super excited for him. Obviously, getting his first career interception against Mahomes is huge, but overall, huge win for the Bills, and unfortunately, a huge loss for the Chiefs. Still on the outside right now of the playoff picture halfway through the season. Next up, I have his big winner for the Seahawks. I mean, they totally dominated the Commanders the start of the game. I mean, offense, defense, and special teams, they destroyed them pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
The score was like 31-7 at halftime. It was 38-14 final. I mean, Commanders had a touchdown like in the second, and then they didn't even get their other one till like late in the fourth or like midway through the fourth quarter. But I mean, I think I feel like this game, on prime time, I feel like that was the game to show everyone, the Seahawks aren't just a top 10 team. I think it's time for people to put them in the top 5 conversation because they're definitely looking like that. And
For
you could
sure.
even technically argue number 1 if you really want to go that way with them and like the Colts. Um, but they definitely are top 5 in my opinion. I feel like other people are starting to realize that as well. But I mean, they're just clicking everywhere, and their only 2 losses against the Niners on a strip sack play, and then a Buccaneers field goal off of a crazy interception. It's just like they're just 2 plays away from being undefeated right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that's partly why they could be number 1. They're literally clicking everywhere, and it's only 2 plays that have their losses. But Sam Darnold, 17 for 17, to start the game, 4 touchdowns before he had his first incompletion, um, which wasn't even until the third quarter. He had 282 passing yards at halftime, and he's only like the 4th player in NFL history with 250 plus passing yards and 4 touchdowns at halftime.
Jeez.
So unbelievable. Seahawks definitely won getting Sam Darnold, as I've said for the longest time. This was easily an upgrade. I was super happy for them getting Darnold. I knew he was going to be their guy. Everyone was saying he was a joke based on, just that one good year in Minnesota. They were saying he wasn't going to be good in Seattle system, but he's literally in elite company right now with what he's doing in games.
Yep.
He only had a couple incompletions, 330 yards. Torrey Horton had a couple touchdowns. JSN still had over 100 yards. Again, that's like 4 in a row for him. That like ties a franchise record. And they've only let me talk about the Seahawks O line really quick to finish it off. They've only allowed 9 this whole season, which is tied for least amount of sacks allowed, only with the Broncos with 9 as well. They've only allowed 3 sacks in the last 4 games, and that's huge because I mean Seahawks got Gray Zabel, but I even thought that you know I felt like it was going to fix their problems, but I still thought maybe they needed another O lineman, another O lineman. But I mean, if they're literally halfway through the season and they've only allowed 9 sacks in 8 games, then maybe they don't have to go O lineman in the first round of the 26 draft, and they can actually use it to something else on the defensive side or whatever else they
Yeah.
want to do instead of being forced to go after a lineman pretty much every year. But you know, the Seahawks run blocking could be a little bit better. They're 22nd in the league, but I mean, they're doing their job right now. I mean, the Seahawks are still 6-2, and Sam Darnold, JSN, now Rashid Shaheed. So, I mean, their run blocking could be better, but I mean, overall, they're outstanding. So, huge win all around for the Seahawks. And then for my one big loser of the week, I have is the Lions. They should have won against the Vikings. I know it was JJ McCarthy's first start, but I mean, props to the Vikings. Props to them coming on the road against the Lions, getting the win. Like I said, with McCarthy's first game back. But the Lions, I mean, they only had like what 2 losses last year. We're halfway through the year, and they already have like 3. So I wasn't expecting the Lions to have an exact copy of what they did last season, but I still wasn't expecting 3 losses at the midway point.
For sure.
So overall, it was a game they should have won, and it's unfortunate because the NFC is so stacked right now.
Everybody's had a bad day at least one time
Yeah, for
this
sure.
season, to where that means that it could happen in the playoffs. Like I think literally you said the Seahawks have probably are the only ones their bad day was off of one play. It wasn't like
Yeah,
that one day
it was just
they were just
unfortunate it
trash the
cost
whole
them the
game.
game.
Like
Yeah,
the Lions, they got absolutely obliterated by the Packers week 1. They
Mm,
then get beat up by the Vikings just the other day. The Packers, their offense gets stopped and stalled out by the Browns and the Panthers completely. They also
yeah,
tie with the Cowboys. They There's that. The Eagles, they blew a
yeah.
comeback against the Broncos.
You could go
The
on. Yeah,
Giants beat the crap out of them on Thursday Night Football. And, the Vikings have also had their problems. There is more of injury, so I guess there's like maybe a little bit of excuse, but you also have basically a rookie quarterback as your starter, so there might
mm,
be bumps and bruises. Um, and that leads it to where you look at the Seahawks. Well, their two losses, like I said, came off of one play. If Sam Darnold didn't get strip sacked because he gets bumped in by his own lineman, they were driving down the field. They were literally in the red zone. They would have most likely scored. Then against the Buccaneers, the defense absolutely crapped the bed, which that is, I guess, something you hopefully it doesn't happen. But there were injuries of why you can give it an excuse. Also,
for sure.
Sam Darnold, his second receiving option outside of JSN, there was a fall off. Now, obviously, adding Rashid Shaheed, there's a difference of how they're going to look forward. But, their only losses, like I said, came down, yeah, against Tampa Bay. That pick after it gets deflected off of a helmet and then it gets picked. They would have drove down the field because the Buccaneers defense also was struggling heavily in that
Yeah,
game. So, like you said, the Seahawks easily are 2 plays away from being undefeated, and I would have them up there and no less than top three, because I mean, you could think of like the Rams. They're obviously when they're good, they're really good, but they blew like a 20-point lead against the Eagles. They lost to the Niners. There's some things going on there, but these teams, man, if they want to do something, they got to play consistent, and I think the Seahawks have played the most consistent.
for sure. Valid point all around. And yeah, I could even talk about like the AFC teams struggling as well. I mean, I could talk about the Chiefs having 4 losses. I could talk about the Bills losing to the Falcons, who were up and down, but now are trending on the downward side. And the Chargers, who started like 3-0 and now are like barely scraping by their games with injuries and everything going on with the O line. Overall, everything's going crazy
Anything
for
can
every
happen.
team.
Anything can happen this
Anything
year.
can happen. I love it. I also hate it, but yeah, just to finish off the big loser, the Lions, really quick. I mean, they didn't even get their run game going, which is hard to believe with the two-headed monster they have back there in the backfield. But
Yeah,
they only had 65 rushing yards. The Lions were bringing pressure. They had 5 sacks that game, but their O line couldn't stop the pressure on the offensive side. They allowed 5 sacks, and the Lions play good when they're ahead with their run game. But
yeah,
I love
exactly.
Jared Goff, and Jared Goff is a really good quarterback. But he struggles when he plays from behind, and when they
Yep.
have to throw the ball and get all panicky. That's when I can't trust the Lions very well. It's why they have to go on, go for it on fourth down almost every single time. So overall, like I said, in a conference, where the Lions have to win and can't really trip up with all the NFC threats. Right now, if the
Yep.
playoffs started today, they still would be in the playoffs, but they're right there at number 7. They can't be losing to the Vikings anymore. They cannot have any big trip ups. They got to get ahead, win these games, finish them out. Cannot lose to a rookie quarterback at home. It just cannot happen. And yeah, they finish off my big losers.
So to jump into mine, I have the Bills. Just beating the Chiefs the way they did, it was huge for them. It shows that they can actually complete a full game and look like a complete team. So that helps because of what we've seen, earlier in the season was their defense just getting bullied, their offense being, obviously the better part of the team, but still having a little shakiness to it. But it shows, you could go and win something in the playoffs. But we've seen this every year. The Bills, I think, are like 5-0 in their last 5 matchups against the Chiefs in the regular season, but the Chiefs are 4-0 in the playoff matchups. So regular season wise, it shows they can do it. Will it translate to the playoffs? We have no clue. But for now, they are a winner as they did it, and they need to win with the Patriots being 7-2 in their
For
division.
sure.
So they're a winner. To move on, I got the Vikings, like you were saying, just to go in and beat not only a division rival but the Lions, the way you beat them is huge. Especially like you said, JJ McCarthy's first start back. It seems like it boosted the morale of the team. Everybody was playing well. Their defense finally, their interior was stopping the run, as they should have been all year, but they were starting to struggle. Everybody was doing well. They were getting sacks. They were getting first downs, touchdowns. McCarthy looked good, besides maybe like a slight interception, but he's a rookie. He's going to make little mistakes. But the team as a whole played great, and they showed that they're also going to make a push for the playoffs. So huge W to them, and we'll see what happens on them, further on down the line. Another one is the Steelers. We both have them on there for a reason. You go and beat the right now the best team in the NFL, like the most consistent team in the NFL. And the way you beat them, you dog walked them the whole time, which the Colts started to make it closer as it went on, but you were able to hold on to your lead. So huge to them. Aaron Rodgers is still showing that he does have juice. He could play another year. And I found out that Jalen Ramsey actually switched to safety last then that game, and that he's going to
I did
continue.
not
He
know
might
that.
continue to play safety. He's going to play safety in their next game, and he might just stay there for the rest of his career. Which people were saying that would be beneficial towards him before the season even started. So for him to go and switch to safety, and then they were able to cause 6 turnovers and to beat up the best team in the NFL, let alone the AFC. Maybe it is a huge move that they did that, and moving forward, they're going to stick with that as it looked like it did well against the Colts.
Yeah, like really quickly, I mean, obviously with the win against the Colts, it shows that when the Steelers are good, they are good and
They're
they can
good.
literally beat anyone.
Yeah.
So,
It shows the experience with Rodgers. DK's
yeah,
having a great year. The whole team. TJ Watt made his presence known as, he's
for
been a
sure.
little whatever this season, but he's doing it. Maybe this might be where they hit their stride and they start going, okay, the Ravens can easily come back and win this division with their easy, you know, schedule coming up, and we're starting to slip up, so we need to lock in, and they did. Aaron Rodgers
Exactly.
said before the game even happened that Ramsey basically held a meeting and basically gave everybody a speech and a talk, and it seemed like the morale jumped up, and obviously it looked like it did. It came on the screen. Everybody played well. They complete, like I've said many times, they beat up the best team in the NFL right now, and so a
Yeah.
huge props to them. And if they play like that, they can actually make a push for the Super Bowl. My last winner is the Panthers, as everybody around the league should say. It's easily their biggest win of the year, their biggest win in the last few years. Beating a Packers team, you're going on some win streaks. You beat the Cowboys, you beat the Packers, you completely shut out the Falcons, a few weeks ago. You're showing the potential of what you have. You could make a playoff push. I don't think they'll make the Super Bowl, but they could make the playoffs, and they could give a playoff team some trouble if they're playing up to what they just played. The defense is playing well. They're getting better every week with, them having younger players. Everyone's getting better. Everybody is
Yeah,
wanting
and
to win.
like I said,
Yeah,
considering, where they finished last year and what they've already showed halfway through the season,
exactly.
and
Yep.
like it's only building up from here. Their team's really young, so
Exactly. And obviously once you start getting that taste of victory, you're going to want it more and more. So the morale is at an all-time high for the Panthers. So, winner to them, winner to the head coach over there, as he needed to start getting some wins. And, hopefully their offense can clean it up a bit. I mean, their running game with Rico Dowdle coming
for
out of
sure.
nowhere and just
Their running
looking
game's
like a top
covered.
five running back out of these
Yeah.
last few weeks. Their
They
run
just
game is
need Bryce
great.
Young. They only just need
Yeah,
Bryce Young
they just
to
need some consistency
yeah,
from their
for
quarterback, and
sure.
they'll be good. So, W to them. Moving on to my losers, though, I have the Colts, because it wasn't like you barely lost. They were sloppy. Obviously, they ended up making up for it by the Sauce Gardner trade, but they'll learn from it, as they were a little sloppy against the Rams when they lost. Then they went on another streak. This game, it's going to show you some more things that you needed, which they obviously did when they got Sauce Gardner, and they'll have the line clean it back up. They'll have Daniel Jones clean it up with holding onto the ball better, with whatever it is. They're a good team. They're going to figure it out for sure. If anybody will, it will be them. And like he said, adding Sauce Gardner immediately makes you at least one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl, let alone make it. Right now, if the playoffs were to start right now, they would probably be my pick to at least on the AFC to make the Super Bowl. They've
Yeah.
been the most consistent, and then you add arguably the best corner in football, and you have a good D line, and now you have a great DB room. So
Yeah.
props to them as well. Just even though they're a loser this week, they'll clean it up. They'll be good. But to move on to my other one, it's the Packers. Their offense has been struggling all year. So who knows? Unlike the Panthers, who knows if they're going to be able to fix their things, especially losing Tucker Kraft for the whole season. He was starting to become your best weapon on offense, specifically your receiving threat. Now he's out. Now Jordan Love might be scrambling around in his head thinking, who am I going to give it to? They're going to have to spread the ball around. They're going to hopefully, maybe Musgrave will step up in that, new tight end one role. Josh Jacobs, maybe
Yeah,
he'll
they
step
they
up.
didn't make a
They didn't make a
move at the
trade.
deadline, and
Yeah,
I also read like a few hours ago that
yeah,
they were going to stick with the Musgrave offense. So they're taking a
yeah,
gamble, I guess. But I mean, they know more than we do, so we'll
yeah,
see how it plays out with the
yeah,
tight ends.
exactly. And, hopefully that works out for them. But right now, it seems that they might be a team. Their defense is great. Their defense has been good all year. I mean, besides
Yeah,
that Cowboys game, but we saw how good that offense is. You can't really put too much blame on them specifically. But
because at least in a couple of their losses, I mean, only allowing like 13 to the Browns
yeah,
should win you every game, and
yeah,
only allowing
yeah.
16 to the Panthers should win
Their
you
only
every game, especially
losses
when
in
you're at
tie
home.
has been their
It's
offense.
been their offense,
I
exactly.
mean, maybe the tie is a little wishy washy, but there had been some mistakes, especially when some questionable calls. Honestly, I guess maybe in that Cowboys game it was more on the defense, but there were some also questionable calls when it came to the coaching. That last play where they almost didn't even get to tie it, but that's
Yeah.
whatever. But as of recent, their actual two losses have been their offense. Their defense came to play every time, and I've seen Micah Parsons say it. If we're able to hold a team to under 20, you should win every single game because your offense should be able to put up at least 20 every game. And if you don't, then
Yeah.
your offense is underperforming. That's how that is. So I hope, obviously for their sake, they can clean it up. But losing your best player who is starting to get better and better every week is such a huge loss for them. So I guess we'll have to see what they do in the future. But for now, they are a loser of week 9. And that sums up my winners and my losers.
All right, so for my Thursday night predictions between the Raiders and Broncos, I have Broncos winning 27-10. It very well could be even worse. I was debating if the Raiders were even going to score a touchdown. The Raiders' offense has been ugly and disgusting. It has not been perfect. And yeah, since they lost Myers, I mean, their offense is going to be even more on the lower end of the rankings more than it already is.
Yeah.
I feel like the Raiders are only going to score due to Brock Bowers. I can see him getting a touchdown, but that's pretty much it. The world's going to see the Broncos on Thursday night more than they already have been, but I
Yep.
feel like this is just going to be overall an ugly game. You know, Clearly with the Raiders struggles and seeing the Broncos right now, I have 27-10 Denver.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree on everything you said. My score prediction is the Raiders losing 6-24. I don't see the Raiders doing really anything this whole game. Genty's probably going to get shut down. Bowers might get at least held in check somewhat. He'll be the only reason they even get any points on the board.
Yeah.
If they do, and Gino's going to struggle. Everyone's going to struggle on that Raiders team. Their defense might make up a couple plays just because the Broncos' offense has been rocky. So that's why it's going to be the way it's going to go. It's just going to be pure domination for the Broncos, and hopefully the Raiders are just looking on to their future because there's nothing on for this season. All right, thank you guys for watching today's video. Hopefully you guys liked everything. Hopefully you guys, were really in tune with the trades today. You can let us, your thoughts on what happened through that and what your guys' reactions were. If you keep liking our videos, please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Y2K Sports Talk. Make sure to look out for our new video next week for our winners and losers. And hopefully you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching.